Alright, getting to work here. So what I have is a couple of models that got, you see the good end here, this I did last night. The models got completely, not completely trashed I guess, but broken up, surfaces missing. You just saw the good end. This is what it looked like before. This is what I'm going to be working on tonight. Actually, it looked worse than this. These two pieces out here looked like this. And kind of as an example of what's wrong, well, you see this piece, how nice and clean and flat and everything it is. And then you look at this, which is supposed to look the same. And we have the amount of lines here are not entirely the problem, but the fact that some of them are not on the plane that they should be. So, for example, all of this surface should be one flat plane, not minding the fact that there's lines across it. However, and for those of you who know Sketchup, you'll understand this. Those who don't may or may not. And this is not meant to be a tutorial in SketchUp or any other modeling software. Not tutorial in general, but I hope to explain some of the techniques I'm using. In many CAD programs, triangles are used as your basic unit of making a given surface. And this, for a lot of your CAD stuff, this is necessary for detail surfaces. SketchUp, for the most part, uses squares or rectangles. I guess it actually uses whatever you give it, but so it doesn't automatically break things into triangles. This came off of, this model was originally in step format, and I had to convert it into STL before I could convert it into SketchUp, which is what I use for various things. In that process, we ended up with, I guess the surfaces were converted to or from triangles a couple of different times in the process. I don't know what the two different conversions do to it, but you see where you see pink here is where you're actually seeing through the model. The white is the surface facing you. Get rid of the eraser here. So as I move around, you can see right here, you can see some lines from areas behind that corner. So this corner is out here facing us. And if I move, you can see through it, you can see some lines behind it. And you can see a lot of stuff behind over here where there's just a whole chunk of the central piece missing. And it's missing because the one or the other of the conversion processes goofed up in making the triangle surfaces. And that's basically the problem in all of these. Triangles were made to the wrong points, or just left out for some reason, or who knows what gets done. But I get to fix it. And while nothing I'm going to do here is high-end fancy technique, I guess I'd say. It's all pretty simple and straightforward if you're familiar with any kind of CAD software. But it is time consuming and occasionally annoying, especially with this level of corruption. I mean, all the main things are here, the main services are enough so I can tell where services are supposed to be. And again, you can see it took 2 days, but I sorted out this end of it. Believe it or not, a lot of this isn't so much corrected as completely reconstructed. I would have to basically take what is there from this end here and make a few reference points and then delete all the garbage and recreate it. And you'll see me do that as we go through here. I may or may not talk and explain what I'm doing. I probably will, but there will probably be sections where I'm not as well, depending on how much I'm concentrating on trying to figure out the goofs. Feel free to ask questions in the comments. I will answer them as I'm able. I am monitoring the comments in the stream, so if you ask questions during the stream, I'll answer them as I go. And if you comment later, watching it later, I will answer those as soon as I have a chance. I don't even know where to start. I really don't. I've already corrected this front end here. And as you saw from the other end, the part that's blue is actually a metal piece, and what's the rest of the body is plastic. This is a header that'll go on a circuit board. In fact, if you're familiar with electronics and circuit boards, you may even recognize the type of plug. These are where it's soldered onto the board here, the feet, and this is the plug. And I have another one of these models for the mating fixture that is also screwed up just as bad. Now this in here, there's a lot of lines, but this is not, well, the bulk of this is not corrupted. This is pretty much okay. However, you can see a lot of these pink areas where there's faces missing, and because of those, I'm afraid to tackle this. I really am. I am afraid that I will have to reconstruct a lot of it. And the reason these these faces are not filled is because one or more of the, in this case, 3 points that make up the shape are not considered to be in the same plane. Now, I'm not sure how that works with the three-sided thing. With 3 points on a shape, it's got to be all in the same plane. But for some reason, it doesn't think it is, and so there's no faces there. What I will have to do in most of these, if I get lucky, let's see if I can get a blank area behind it. If I get lucky, I'll be able to just erase these lines, and then just make a single line across here pretty much anywhere, and it'll refill those faces. And it did. So that one kind of worked. And then I go back and delete that line, and let's see, that line is not needed, these are not needed, and I got lucky. So that whole surface there, it was actually okay. Just for whatever reason, it hadn't filled those faces. Let's see if one thing helps here is if you can think in 3D. If you're not good at visualizing 3D, this may get extremely confusing very quickly. So this surface here and this surface here are, at least in theory, on the same plane. That we just have a missing face here, which I want to fill. I'm going to try just drawing a line across here, and that works. And then I want to get rid of those lines. By drawing a line across there, and I could draw it along one of the edges as well, it forces the system to try to make a face if possible. So those are good, and it looks like these are good. And if they weren't, if one of the two triangular faces here was not actually in the same plane as the rest of the stuff, if one of the corners was off just a hair, which is what most of the problems are, then when I delete that line, one or both of the faces would disappear, just like that. So what that tells me is that this face, one of the points down here, is off of the actual plane. And I have to figure out which one, and I'm not even going to play with it. Well, no, I can tell you which one. It should be a straight line from that point down to this point. And for whatever reason, the system made that line down to part of the arc that's here instead of down to the actual corner. And you can see this one bent in the same way. And this is actually the problem with most of the missing frames in the thing, including the end where I'm going to be working, is that for whatever reason one of the conversions made its triangles or faces to one of the vectors of an arc instead of to the corner where it should. Understanding how 3D works behind the scenes, I have a good idea of why it did all that, but it doesn't change the fact that it breaks everything. And as usual, I start doing something and somebody wants my attention. Where's my phone hiding? I heard it ding. Love that when I can hear it ding and I can't find it. So let's see if it's out. Well, I don't see any notifications on my tablet. I don't see my phone anywhere, but I heard it, so it's got to be right here within reach somewhere. Uh-oh. I know you heard that. That was my chair breaking. That ain't good. No, there's why. Nope. Yep, there's what the message was all about. Although I'm not sure. Why does it not show? It's not showing on my tablet for some reason. For that matter, it doesn't show on the PC either, even though I can see it. Someday I'll have time to figure that out. Alright, so first thing I'm going to do is start deleting lines that are unnecessary. And as I delete them, I'll see pieces disappear like you just saw, and that'll tell me where there are errors that I need to worry about. Also, getting rid of the excess lines simplifies what I'm looking at. Wow, that whole face is screwed up. Okay then, so let's see what I can see what kind of faces I can clean up here so I can tell what I'm looking at. It also helps that I've spent 2 days fixing the other end, so I know what is supposed to be here. Wow, this end is screwed up bad. Don't even know where to start. I know that these faces here are actually good, so I can take and clean that, finish those faces off. And it doesn't matter where I draw these lines, I'm just forcing the system to attempt to make a face there. So what we're looking at here is this surface goes back underneath this surface. So here's the back wall. If I angle it just right, you can see up in there. And that pink coming in from the side, that's the end where I've already worked. It's kind of behind the screen at the moment. So if I zoom out, as I rotate the camera, the visual was passing inside of this piece, is what the pink was that you saw. Where was I working on this? So I got most of that. There's still a surface. Okay, there's the back surface. I can get that line. And what that is you have a square surface back there, rectangular if you will. And then because your CAD systems that this came from like to use triangles, there'll be a diagonal line through it. And you'll see a lot of that. And as long as the rectangle is actually intact, I can delete those diagonals without any problem. If, however, the rectangular is not properly intact, then you get deleted sides. Now these two surfaces are the same, so I can kill that. Again, the more lines I can get rid of up front, the easier it is to see what's wrong. So what I'm starting with is just getting rid of all the lines that I can without having a surface disappear on me like that. So when one disappears like that, I just take it and do an undo, and we'll come back and play with it later. So right now, I guess the simplest one for me to clean up at the moment is going to be this one, to figure out what's wrong with this one. And what's wrong with that one is going to be this curve here on the corner. This is we're looking up from the bottom, and this is starting here, it curves up to go vertical up here. That goes vertical. And we have, okay, here's a side surface, if you can see in there, there's a bunch of triangle lines in there. I'm going to try to delete just because I'm here. Again, get things out of the way while I can. Let's see. And some of this I can do quickly and easily because I know what the piece is supposed to be after having done the earlier ones. It took a lot longer the first time. Wow, that is so screwed up. Let's see. See if I can get rid of these here. Yep, good. should be able to get rid of these, or not. How about that one? Yep. And that curved surface, so both ends of that curved surface, going from the bottom up around the back, are screwed up here. I'm going to delete that line now, even though I'm going to have to delete that whole end surface here in a bit. But it's one more of those get extra lines out of the way. And this circle piece here, this is a location stub that goes into the PCB to make sure everything's located right. Excuse me. What you see here, this is actually good. Going around to, oh, this one actually looks very good compared to the other one. Yeah, this one looks very good compared to the other one. The other one was completely screwed. I mean, I have to play with this one. That'll be nice. Again, cleaning up to simplify things. Okay, this one is screwed up. Can you see here how this section right here is no longer round? No longer rounded looking? It looks like there's a dent right here. And that's because that vertex, that node, that point was plotted wrong. And again, I understand why. I'm not even going to try to explain it. If you understand 3D and the conversion process, you will probably understand. If not, it'd take too long to explain it. I may consider doing some. I'm considering doing some lessons on both Sketchup for the modeling, and also the. If you've looked at my channel, I also do, or mostly do, PCB design. And there are a number of videos on that, but they're all me doing work like this, me routing boards and stuff, and not actual tutorials and such. I'm considering, depending on time available, doing some tutorials in both SketchUp for modeling and PCB design, because I have a few people that are constantly asking questions. Why do you do this? How do you do this? So everything I can see readily, I've cleaned up what I can. I could clean up these corners. Well, let's see, but I'm this corner might be okay. One way to find out, right? Let's see. So let's try just drawing some lines across here, see if these close up. Okay, so I can get away with deleting those. Maybe I can delete that. That also means that I can delete that and that. Oops, hey, that diagonal, that diagonal, that diagonal, that diagonal. And suddenly this corner looks much better than it did a minute ago. Let's see what this corner looks like. This corner also looks good. And I know it's good because from practice as much as anything else, and I mean specifically with regards to what I've done the last couple days. So I know what this is supposed to look like. The trick right now, as you saw me minutely adjusting the angle, is I want to make sure that I'm drawing lines on this surface and not to one of the lines in the background. So I need to make sure I know which lines are which. And moving it around like that gives me a little bit of a parallax view, so I can tell which lines are which and know which ones to avoid. Alright, so we got that surface, and we can simplify this surface by getting rid of the diagonals. Now, the next step in this surface, while it looks like it's all fine, it's not. Because as is, I cannot, I don't think, delete those lines. The reason is, now again, SketchUp users will recognize that green line as indicating that the line I'm drawing is directly on one of the axes. I believe the green is the x-axis. Not that it matters. So that tells me that that line is actually straight. And that's what I need to know. So I know I can safely draw a line there. And I know because it snapped to this point and this point that those reference points are good for other operations. Now, so I'm fairly certain that point there is the one that is screwed up. Right off the top of my head, I don't remember why. Okay, what I'm going to do now, this outside area is done. We're done with that. It's clean. But it's in my way for seeing the inner areas. So we're going to use a cut plane that I can, oh, hello, okay, I already had them out here. Didn't realize I had them on here already. So I have several on here already. Get a hold of one of them, and I'm going to move this in and cut off those surfaces because I know that those are all done. Now I can get in here and I can easier see what's going on. What I wish I could do is use several cut planes at once, but I can't. I mean, I have 3 of them on here, maybe 4. Yeah, there's 4 on here. But I can only have one cutting at a time. It'd be nice if I could like come in from the bottom and cut that off, and come in from the top and cut it down to right there maybe, and cut the whole back end off so I just have this area here to work with. The reason that would be nice is because then I could go transparent and not have all that garbage in the background. I mean, I can come in from this side, but then I've got garbage in the foreground. And again, looking at this, for those of you who are familiar with CAD, this will be nothing new to you. Those who are not may be confused. Let's see. I can clean up back here. So if you remember from the other side, I have this surface at an angle going back into an opening here in the corner. And we have the same thing here. You just got to figure out which ones of these lines are on which of those surfaces. So this line here is on this angle here. That's, see that angle here? That's a slanted surface, this here. This here is the top surface, and that is this line going across the top surface. This is the back of that opening, and that line and that line go across the back of the opening. And then here we have the side wall, and that diagonal line. And those of you who are not familiar with modeling will have your eyes crossed. You're going, how in crap did he do that? I think in 3D, this is, for me, this is natural environment. I hope my stream isn't too horrible with me moving it around all the time. I know I'm running a very low bit rate. Actually, very low bit rate and frame rate because I have very little outbound bandwidth. So my apologies if the well, it looks good in my preview, but it's a small screen, so I can't really tell. But I guess if I can see the detail in the small screen, it should be decent enough on normal size screen. I'm trying to move slowly when I'm moving around. I know if I move fast that with the slow bit rate, I'm only running I think 10 frames. It can get a bit annoying. But I have to move it around to, like I said earlier, to give that a little bit of parallax so I can tell what lines are in front and back. Alright, okay, so these lines again, this one, and this one, and this one are on the front surface. We know that from when I did this line a minute ago, this line comes out to the corner of the curves. So we know that that point and that point over there are good. Interestingly, these 2 points should be good because that back corner is good and that comes out to the same point. Yet if I delete either one of those lines, okay, so if deleting the line on this side did not drop the face is still there. Which means either this point or that point. No. If one of those was bad, because right now we have a continuous face right here. And if either one of those points was bad, that wouldn't be a face. Okay, can I delete that? Nope. Okay, so somewhere one of, oh, that point and that point have to be good. So one of either that point or that point are bad. Not quite sure how that, okay, that, so if I delete, when I deleted this line, it brought this area into play, and because that point is not in line or on the plane, it couldn't make a face for the whole thing. So it's going to be this point here that's wrong. This one here should be good. And that makes sense because most, as I said back in the beginning, most of the problem is with these curved surfaces. So here's one here that we're looking at the inside of the curve as it comes. This is a vertical wall here. So we have this vertical wall and then the curve and this flat wall. Oddly though, these look like they're good. And I'm confused. Aha, okay, I know what's wrong. This point is fine. What we're missing is the fact that, and this is what confused me doing the other one. I spent quite a while trying to figure this one out. It looks like, at first glance, that this line is a single line going straight down from this point to this point. It is not. It should be, but it is not. For whatever reason, this surface here is behind and not connected to this back wall of this chunk. It's a small gap, but there is a gap there. But for whatever reason, when the conversion took place, it actually drew triangles such that this piece here is connected to this piece here, here, and here. And I'm going to make it transparent again, and we'll see a diagonal line across here. So we see this diagonal line right there and here. And that's on the back of this would-be square here, which is also why, nope, this one, if you look close, you can tell that this line is not straight. We're going to make it straight. And if I take and zoom all the way in here and get rid of these lines that don't belong, and I'm going to hate this, but I need to see. So what I've just made show up is you see some dotted lines here along with the dark lines. Those are lines that make parts of faces, but they are hidden so that it looks like one straight surface. If you remember, we're looking at the other side. You didn't see lines here where the curves were, and that's because I had hidden them like this. These are here. However, under the current situation, under the circumstances, I need to see where those are, because sometimes those are the ones causing the problem. Just like that was connected to this piece a minute ago, and it still is here. And you can see that gap. If you look closely, you can see a dotted line here on this side of that pink, and then you have that point where this line and this line come together, and that basically is the error space. They both come to the same point up here and then go back down to the same point down here, but it comes out to that point out there, making it weird. And this one here does the same. I want to get rid of that line. Get out of the way here. This is where the fun begins. I'm basically going to have to delete this whole area here and rebuild it. So I'm going to start with making some more dotted lines. And again, those of you familiar with Sketchup will know this. Making some reference points as well as measurements. Let's see. Put one along there. This is when I want to get rid of that area in the background. Alright, so what is this area I need to play with? What is not? Need to get rid of those, and just get rid of that one and that one. That's good for the moment. I'm going to, just because, I'm going to take a known point, make a line there, and get rid of that too. Even though I know that that point was good, just kind of squaring it off here. I know that this corner is good. I know that that line is not, or is probably not. I know that this line is not going to be right. I know that these lines are probably wrong. And now we get into the spot where I gotta be very careful of what I delete, what I'm looking at. See, here's another thing. It's supposed to be a straight line from that corner to that corner. And again, notice the color change so I can tell that that's actually a straight line that is on axis. And then get rid of the lines that were there before that were incorrect. Now where is... Okay, so if you... This line is probably good. Yeah, for this surface here, so that surface is good. I was going to say that that line goes to this surface and is good, but as I move it around, I can see parallax that tells me that that line, I'm not sure where it's going, but is not good. Looks like this line and that line connect to here somewhere. In fact, nope. Not sure where that goes. I'm going to leave it there for the time being. Let's see. Okay, so at least in theory, we did the checking. We made a reference point up here. This line should go straight down, so we have the blue axis, and it should intersect on this line. And you'll note that it no longer is blue. If I keep it on blue, it'll come down. So right now that the end of that line is in the open air. It's just this side of the black line crossing it. And I know this from earlier work. What I want to do now is find, forget how I did this earlier. So this line here is 0.01 millimeters to this side towards us of this line, and that is the difference between this surface and the back surface of this stuff here. Okay, this line is that line. not blue, so it means, so again, there is blue. Alright, I don't remember where did that go down to? Get that. See if I can make, okay, so I'm finding points where I can draw lines that I know are good, and again, we got a straight vertical line. You can see that it's blue. So I can make that known good line, and now, because that made plane across here, I can get rid of those extra lines. There's still not a plane here, but I can go out there. And if I remember right, that's going to change later anyways, but at least now I have a good surface to reference. Let's see, this is that side wall. Going up to the curve. So let's see what I do. Okay, so reference points. I have this corner down there is the opposing corner for this rectangle. And at least in theory, that line that I left there will go straight down to, nope, don't do that. Straight down to that corner down there. Just because I'm going to remove that line just so it doesn't get in our way later. But now, at least in theory, I should be able to draw a straight vertical line from there down to there. And looky at that. And that'll make my side face here. And hopefully, hate it when it does that. Hopefully a back face that I cannot see at the moment because I can't look back there. The way to do this is to do that. I'm not sure where it goes. But we have a hidden line here. Okay, this diagonal line is part of that back face there, and should be able to remove that, or not. Note to self, save regularly. A lesson I originally learned, let's see, that would have been 30 years ago? Eeks. No, 30 years ago. 1989 anyways. 89, 09, 19, 30 years, yes. That was my first official programming class. Um, I'd been programming computers for 6 years at that point, but it was my first official computer class. And the teacher done his lecture, and the students were working on the assignment in class. Had a good thunderstorm going outside. No one paying any attention to it. And um, and all of a sudden the power goes out, and you hear some groans around the class. And teacher speaks up and says, "You are all regularly saving, right?" I don't think there was anyone in the class that had been regularly saving their work, including myself. So half an hour more of work for all of us was lost because we hadn't been saving. So I tend to wear out the Control S keys on my keyboards. Um, Not always. I forget still because I'll be concentrating on the work. Always save your work. And my chuckle a minute ago, you guys would have heard the ding and then me chuckling. We're having interesting weather this evening, and thunder. I get weather alerts. Thunderstorm warning just popped up on my email. Timing. It's all about the timing. Okay. Back to figuring out how to rebuild this corner back here. Okay, so I've got the back surface of this area here. Let's turn off this here. So we've got the back of this built now. And I can delete that, and that, and that. Those are reference markers, which I will actually probably put back at some point, but for the now they're in the way. We've got that space done. I still haven't fixed that diagonal, but that's the underside of this. See, there's a, let's see if we can see it in here. We have the top curve here, then there's another curve underneath, and that curve is all screwed up. Really screwed up. But we're going to come at that from the other side. But I'll have to delete basically all of this here, and that wall over there, and that stuff is in the back. So I'll come from the other side to get that. Oh, see how neat and organized these are right now? That's what I did this morning. Those were trash. They looked like this mess this morning. I'm almost afraid to come out this side, even though I know what it's doing. So let's try our reference point again. Let's see if I can. Okay, so that should have actually created a face here. The fact that it did not means, again, that something, one of those 3 points, and that can't be, because, aha, that's because I wasn't paying attention to what I was doing. See what I did? A couple things I did wrong here. I was looking at this line as going down to this edge right here, and it's not. It's a different edge. There's a gap there. So I drew this line here, which came off of this surface, and I drew it down to this surface, and when in reality those are two inherently different surfaces, and this line doesn't end at that edge. It goes down below on its own thing. Okay, so where is it? It's down inside of that somewhere. Okay, so it comes down to this corner here, at least in theory. So let's see. Remember our blue trick here. Let's see if that's actually a vertical line, and it is. So we can do that. And we can clear that. So now we have this all intact. We have the same problem as we had on the other side with these pieces here. That's that thing separately, but we need to get these out of here. And this stuff here is part of the eventual back wall. Which, see, now I've got everything here on the front. I'm going to try now, and we're going to activate another cut plane here. We're going to make that one the active cut. And then we want to move it just past the inside edge of the main thing. Get rid of that. And now we can look in here and see the back side of our mess. So now we're looking at the back side of the area we were just working on. This is the top area, the big front piece. Why did I lose? You may remember there's supposed to be a surface here between, at the back of this, there's supposed to be a surface going all the way around, coincident with the back of, well, no, actually I guess it's not quite coincident. That's where I said there was that small gap. There was supposed to be. There's a gap in there. There's supposed to be. Okay, see that the line I just made has that blue shade to it? There's my correct. I don't want to make a line there. There's my correct back surface to that. And see there again, it's what's right, what's not. And that is the separate piece. So separate, and remember I said there's that little bit there. Now I filled in, but now I need to go back. I need to, let's try this. I need to get rid of that incorrect line yet, which is those lines and that line. And you can see again there's some difference here. I thought I got rid of those lines. Let's see. I know that the line that goes up and meets with that front part is wrong. There's a little tiny space in there. That line is wrong, but yet no, that line should be correct. But yet if I delete it, I lose my surface. And suddenly it's raining hard. Or, that's just rain. What to do next? I guess I need to figure out what's wrong with this. Or maybe what isn't wrong. That line should be good. Why isn't it? I know that that corner is good, which would then suggest that, okay, so I know that corner is bad, and I don't know how to explain it at the moment, but I know that it's not supposed to exactly match the circle. The question is, what's correct? So we have, in theory, a rectangle from here. Okay, see how the red line, the vertical from my mouse pointer, does not come all the way out to the edge of the top surface? The correct rectangle is coming out to the other corner. So I'm going to go the other direction across this corner to make our proper. Wow. Can you guys hear that rain? It's raining hard enough that the building across the parking lot, maybe 100, 150 feet away at most, is, I'd say, about 30% faded to view. And that's rain, not fog. Had the fog earlier. The fog earlier obscured that building by like 50%. That was insane. Especially for a daytime fog. Okay, so that is correct. We have this plane is now correct. This is what I meant by reconstructing, where I just take, okay, I know where the surface is supposed to be. Let's just draw a rectangle there and see and go from there. I am surprised that that actually crosses at that point. That is unexpected and weird. Sorry. Alright, so where else can I make a known rectangle? Or what can I delete to get out of my way or something? We have basically this whole series here that I'm just going to go bing, and we're just going to recreate that. So I have a known surface here. And I have a believed trusted surface. This one coming back here, so this corner I believe is good. And that corner goes down and will, or should, make a come down to a point even with this newly corrected corner, at least in theory. Let's see what happens. Let's see, where's my points? My points are the corner of that and the bottom corner there. So we have from there over to the front corner, down back here, down here, and then we're going to make a rectangle, or we're going to do a rectangle coming over and up. In theory. Now, here's the problem. The lines show that that is a correctly on-axis rectangle. But if you look at the top corner directly above where the mouse is, you'll see that it does not align. That top corner is not on the line where I indicated it should be. And the bottom corner where the mouse is on the point on the circle and not where the quote, quote, correct corner is. If I move it to that corner, it now appears to align with everything. However, it's no longer on the blue axis, it's on the green axis, which is weird. Green axis would be the one going from upper right to lower left, would be the green axis. I'm going to say that is correct and see what happens here. We'll do some measurements. But that lines up with everything, and I can erase that line. So I'm confident that that is the correct surface. Interestingly, we see the exact same problem over here where the corner goes to this point. And now that gives me an idea how to explain why these errors happen. During the conversion process, things do an optimization. So one of the things that they will do is try to merge nearby points within a certain distance, because they are considered to be, the difference is considered to be below a threshold of relevance. Unfortunately, some of us work on things where those, I mean, we're talking here a fraction of a millimeter, that distance. I mean, really, it's a theoretically, it's a trivial distance here. How big is that? That line is 0.0132 millimeters. Very small distance. And if we were to take and actually take and draw the lines where it had it and make a part based on that, the part would probably be fine. It's probably within manufacturing specs. However, some of us have this thing with OCD, and with that, if that was angled like the errant version, it just makes the rest of the model hard to reference with things that are not straight lines. Let's see. Now, where's my next surface to make? I need to recomplete. Oh, it's this side that I've broken out. So we've got the upper part of this main surface good. We still have to fix this over here. This is good. So this is what we need to work on now. And I need to bring, why is that surface, why did that surface? Looks like I thought I had that side fixed at least partly, but apparently I didn't. Alright, so I guess we're going to go and again start making lines where I know they should be. Partly from earlier work and partly from intuition. So, and we got the green color, so we know what's on axis. And we're just going to delete those lines and draw a line to force it to make a face. And we can delete those. And I'll bet we can now delete that one. And maybe that one. Ha! Can we delete this one? Maybe that one? How about that one? Ah, come on! And again, that screwed up because of we have more curve crap going on here. Where again, the conversion process joined a bunch of vertices that it should not have. This is one of those curves that I mentioned. And this is one here coming from the side panel to, or coming around to the back panel. So this one here actually mirrors this one. And I'm not sure what this curve is for. Alright, let's see. I'm going to guess that as I delete crap here... Oh, hello. Not sure I wanted to do that one. Let's see what I can delete without breaking everything. Okay, so let's check. Okay, so that is correct. And again, this is from earlier work measuring. So we know that this corner is correct. This 1, 2, 3, 4, this curve is correct measurements on this end. That end is wrong. Okay, so that cut, what's that cut? That is this surface, so that cut I can fix, at least in theory, by coming right out from there. Should be on edge. And there's my surface. Now why? Alright, there we go. Now we got a proper surface there again. That's why that looks weird. Supposed to have a back piece on this that we don't. There we go. Much better. Let's see. What is good? I think these are good. I know these are bad. Very, very bad. That line should be good. The rest of that curve is trash. And for the moment, I'm going to keep those pieces. Okay, and now let's find a good angle to work on here so I can get rid of that stuff. Okay, so our job now is we've got to recreate this curve down. There's several ways. Wow. Apologies. Several ways I can do this with various levels of appropriateness. That's going to be the simplest. But that causes other problems like that. Ink. In theory, a line from here to the tip should be on axis, and it is. Except that we have our faces backwards. So I need to take and 1, 2, 3, 4 and reverse those faces. And then I can come back out here. Fix the upper part of this. So now that's clean, and that should be good. Around on the back of it again. We need, what back wall do I need here? I need a back wall from, well, we're going to go for the moment here. Needs to go down to the bottom here, but we got weird stuff going on here. I'm afraid to, let's see where this ends up at. Okay, so that top piece is good. Still missing something here, and I'm not sure what. There's supposed to be some back plane here or something. Some sort of floor in there somewhere. Let's see if these look good. So I can think I can delete that, 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 and that, as well as that, that, and that. And that. Still something wrong there. There is somewhere in there, there is not a surface that I think there should be one, but I'm not sure where. Alright, that's an hour and a half. That's enough for tonight. Any questions, feel free to ask. And let me know if you'd like to see more of this, because I got plenty of more to work and to do. Alright, that's all for tonight. Catch you later.